was actually ready tonight. I spent some time playing Satisfactory. 2 different games. With some family tonight, and that was a lot of fun. It's a little out of my element for me to be playing crafting sims like that. Engineering sims, more like. There's just a lot going on at the base processes. And I like it. I'm really liking it. I'm going to play more of it with them tomorrow. I hope tomorrow to devote more time to learning processes. A little bit more. Get a better idea of what's going on. My cat is flicking her tail at me. She is not happy that I'm talking. She says, "No, sit in silence." What's up, Missy? Gotta get rid of the slow blanks. Try to be very mindful, very demure. I've been saying that a lot the last 2 days. It's kind of been a vocal stem. But it's also a good reminder for the self. Try and be more active in each thought process. Be more mindful of each moment. Give slow blinks to your cat. I think it's important to stay mindful. I kind of want to theme our just chatting section today about that. Cat's moving. Microphone gets moved a little bit more. She's laying on her wrapping paper. Loves to crinkle. But yeah, I think it's important to be very mindful of our moment to moment. To stay close to oneself and one's needs on a sensory level, as well as intellectually and emotionally. Some experiences are a little bit overwhelming on a sensory level. Like, I enjoy spending time at the bar or wherever. Cat cam. I'm pointing the wrong way. This cat. Some sensory experiences are less pleasant, but you do it for the company that you're with. Like going out to a bar, for example. Going out to a coffee shop that's really bustling. Having your cat crinkle on the wrapping paper when you're trying to make more low energy content. She's so silly. She's just relaxing though. That's what we're doing. Mindfully relaxing. hanging out, putting effort into our moment to moment. Not losing our hours. Oh yeah. We try to encourage body scans, not always with that phrasing, to assess how the body feels. Yeah, it's like you got to do your internal assessment before you can really talk about how everything really truly makes you feel. Communication is the important aspect of that. Sometimes grounding in what is happening to the body helps put a name to the feeling. I agree. Thanks for coming in and hanging out, Julia. Much appreciated. Even just coming in and saying hi in the chat for like 5 minutes and or putting me on in the background. Like, I appreciate coming in and saying hi. I want this to be just like a, hey, we're live for 3 hours, 3.5 hours typically. Pop by, say hi, go back to whatever. I want this to be like a passive viewing experience as well as something that you can actively participate in. That's one reason that I step into this performance role for myself. I'm not, it's kind of a weird way to talk about it, but thank you. Mental health, peaceful living. That is kind of the vibe that I'm trying to ascribe. Yesterday while I was playing Balatro, the cat. While I was playing Balatro, I felt myself slipping from the moment a little bit, just like, oh yeah, I want to get this done. I can just skip through this, but I was like, no, actually, I think that this can go off the rails for the run of Balatro specifically. This can go off the rails without proper guidance and admission. Admission? I don't think admission would be the proper phrase to use there. Administration of that run specifically. I feel like that can be applied to generalized life as well. If you don't stay in the moment fiercely, it's easy to lose yourself in the hustle and bustle of it all. To lose those connections that keep us grounded in reality and more mindful and more aware of the self. Very thoughtful comments, Julia. Thank you. I appreciate it. I think that's one thing that going through losing my father is going to make me a little bit better about, is living more in the moment and being more on top of saying I care about the people that I do care about. Because I do care about a lot of people. If I think about it, I have very supportive family and extended family, and I appreciate the outpouring of support that has been shown to me at this trying time. But I don't think it's I'm looking for the proper phrases here. I don't feel like I need the external so much anymore. I found a lot more peace on the internal, which I think helps. I think that does help. Finding that inner peace in the moment to moment and understanding where we're at and where we're going. Or at least like what our goals are. You can have a basic plan for where you want to go all day, but if you never actually follow up on those steps, things fall by the wayside. You could say, I want to write a book for 30 years and just have a basic idea that never gets finished. You have a draft of a book. You don't have a book. You have ideas that are swimming around. It's just turning those ideas into action is a difficult thing to do. Because a lot of the time, people come in from this really high up opinion, or not opinion, this really high up place in the idea process. It's a lot of top-down building for that kind of idea. And I think you need to be able to say, I want this top idea. What is the foundation I can give it? And you need to go from there in order to support that structure, that dream idealized structure. I think satisfactory is a very solid way to show people that. Because I've been thinking about this stuff a lot outside of Satisfactory and like the engineering type games. It's been eye-opening to understand when things are created from this idea into what we see today. Like you see McDonald's and you're like, yeah, it's just institutional to the United States in its own way. But when you think about the logistics, providing quality food to as many stores as McDonald's has, it's just not. It just doesn't happen. Like Subway too. There's no wonder so much of that like franchised out food is bad and is so prepackaged and is bad for your active living. Very like eating McDonald's once is an active choice. Eating it habitually, you lose that control of your diet. And when you lose control of your diet, you lose control of your physical body a lot more. Cooking is hard. It really is. Cooking good meals consistently, it takes a lot of active effort to plan from bottom up. What ingredient am I going to take? What is going to complement it? What kind of protein is necessary for it to be a more rounded meal? Or like if you're starting from the protein, what kind of vegetables and like other grains and starches can you use to accent that flavor? Cooking is a form of radical self-love. I agree with that sentiment 100%. I think you need to understand what goes into your food. Like having in-laws cook for you is great because you don't have to cook. But you also have to be aware of how vastly different their tastes are from yours, and what you need to make a meal pop for you. Because it's very much an individualism thing. At least with food, I find. Everybody eats, but everybody eats a little differently. Like, I like to, for example, I like to call it slop meals, where it's just all of these separate ingredients that I've cooked in these different ways with different seasonings and different basic premises. And then I'll add them together with like a sauce that I'll have come up with somewhere along the way. Either a sauce or like hot sauce. Let's be real. Hot sauce, I'm always buying local. And I'm always looking for something that really, really hooks me. I haven't quite gotten there yet, but I like to combine everything, give it a sauce, and just like have every bit of texture in every bite. And I know a lot of people that's not an appealing eating process to them. I think that when you take into account that everybody wants to consume their meal differently as well. Yeah, I did rediscover the casserole. The problem with the casserole is the cooking process for me. It loses a lot of texture because it melds so much. That's why it's got to be like freshly added into the casserole. Have everything individually and then reassembled. And a lot of people like to have everything disassembled. I know my spouse specifically loves to eat a bunch of different things one at a time. And I think that that's like, it's really endearing for one, just to see the way that they eat food and how it's so much different when we are so intertwined otherwise. Like, it's just, it's funny. I find it to be pretty funny, at least. It's good to remember the differences between each individual. I feel like it's a lot more grounding for me to understand that each person's experience in life is so vastly different. And some methodologies for taking care of yourself really work for some people, and some just absolutely don't. Everything has to be tailored to the individual to some extent. I can't tell you the amount of one-size-fit-all hats I've put on, and I've been like, my head is just way bigger than fits in the band reasonably, and it actually is incredibly uncomfortable. I feel like that's applicable to a lot of things. One size fit all fits on only the biggest, not biggest, like the 50th, probably about the 40th to 60th percentile of people. That range of people, that's what I mean. And then you have the outlier, all of the outliers that are like, it doesn't fit for me. It doesn't work. But when you generalize your market like that, be like, yeah, anybody can fit this, it becomes more normalized too, and we forget the outliers. I'm just thinking more on that. I feel like that's a pretty normal experience nowadays, forgetting the outlier. We see it a lot in politics, especially, of people specifically targeting the outlier. I think that's all I want to say on that, other than don't do that. Yes, I would agree with that, Julia. Sorry, I'm just rereading to make sure that I'm fully processing what you're saying as well. It does feel very healing when the jacket finally hits. Stepping away from that radical conformity is extremely difficult, especially in growing up with a high control religion. One that says you have to fit in the jacket. When the jacket is a straight jacket, you're just like, don't put me back in that. Don't do that. I want my freedom. I want my individuality. Definitely, or potentially a sport coat. Ugh. The amount of people that hide who they really are inside of a sport coat or a suit jacket is mind-boggling. The willingness to take advantage of another while wearing a business suit. It's not exactly an uncommon experience. There's a reason businessmen in the past were respected in their own way, but also looked at with a certain amount of disdain / distrust. Since it's Christmas, let's talk about Scrooge a little bit. The whole point of the journey that Ebenezer Scrooge goes on in A Christmas Carol is to reconnect with humanity and show the negativity of the actions of exploiting labor is the knock-on effects of this greedy man expecting labor for so cheap. And the ghosts of Christmas past, present, and future reminding him We're all mortal, and also remember, do you really want to be remembered as the jerk that didn't give people time to spend with their families? In a world of people like Ebenezer Scrooge and constantly mining the energy and effort from all of these people to make their empires work. You have to lose a lot of your humanity to actively put that amount of suffering in the world and saying you should be grateful because I give you money, and not even a fair amount of money. Pretty unfair amount of money for the amount of effort that you're asking for. Not talking to a specific individual on this one. But I mean, you don't get to $1 billion without causing a lot of suffering along the way. What's up, Cody? What is this dog? Yes. More flying dogs in the chat. Woof. Do I want to add a woof emote? My branding is already this weird dog. Maybe I should add a woof emote. Perhaps more dog emotes. Who doesn't like dogs? I don't know a whole lot of people that don't like dogs. To close our conversation on mindfulness, considering I just kind of trailed off talking about billionaires, be very mindful in the way that you spend and whether or not you want to contribute to that billions of dollars. I know that many high control religions want money from people, but you can get away from that. You can find community and peace outside of high control. You can take control of your finances. You can be mindful about what you're consuming. I try not to talk about particularly deep topic matter, but it just kind of evolves when you're talking. Apologies, I'm very dehydrated right now, apparently. But when you're kind of talking at yourself, it's easy to go in this thought loop and just kind of follow the logical conclusions for your conversations, or what you believe and feel is a logical conclusion for your conversation. But thanks again for stopping by, you two. Much appreciated.